They don't get enough credit. Again, you get an all-star third baseman. Look, there's not many all-star third basemen in Major League Baseball.
Right.
Switch hitting at that. And now a guy, well, I guess he's now a utility guy, and he's also playing first base, but Eduardo Escobar, that is. Mm-hmm. It just didn't. The trade deadline for the Brewers, the best move they made was the move they didn't make, and they didn't give up Ashby or Small or the Bryce Terrain. That's it. Slipping my brain there for a minute. They didn't give up any of these guys for a 3-month rental. Eduardo Escobar could be a rental. They might be able to re-sign him. But you didn't give up any of your top 30 prospects. You get guys solidified in the bullpen. Jake Cousins, you didn't give up anything for Jake Cousins. Hunter Strickland, nothing. But for some reason, it doesn't get the attention that it's talked about, which is fine. But then they get criticized, for moves that they don't make, which I found was interesting. Is Buster Only. I believe he works for MLB.com, wherever he works now. He was at ESPN for a while. I'm not sure. Wherever he is. After the trade deadline, they said, give me your World Series favorite. He said the Milwaukee Brewers, because they didn't give up anything to gouge them in the future or the present. You got a guy. If Willy Adames was traded for right now, like you said, really, if you look at the projection from when they traded for Willy Adames, they were 3 games under 500. If they're 3 games under 500 now, they probably don't trade for Willy Adames, because the Reds are up in the division probably by 7 or 8 games. So the Milwaukee Brewers are probably kind of like, well, we're not going to give up, somebody else, so they probably don't make that trade for a guy like Willy Adames. And they did it in May. What I also found interesting was, if you remember, David Stearns mentioned it after the trade. They said they have kept their eye on Willy Adames for a few years. That caught my attention, because that was something you have been keeping an eye on, but then you traded for Luis Urias. And then you traded for you traded away Orlando Arcia. So I found it interesting. But again, they could have been the plan the whole time. Get Arcia out of Milwaukee, slide Urias to shortstop for a few weeks, work on the Willy Adames trade. And now you have Luis Urias, who's playing out of his mind. Has a little bit of the throwing errors, consistent, still a little bit shaky with the arm at times, but at the plate, Luis Urias he's third in the team in home runs. So, they know what they're doing. They consistently do such a good job at it. For whatever reason, I will never understand why Craig Counsell is never in the discussion for manager of the year.
Let's talk about that. Do you think he'll be? Do you think he has a shot this year?
According to Vegas, Francisco, he's not even in the top 5. I don't know what the guy needs to do to prove that. Look, half their bullpen has been on the COVID IL. Christian Yelich has been on the IL 3 times. He missed over a month. Colton Wong has been on there 3 times. Lorenzo Cain has been on there 3 times. And they're first in the NL Central. They're almost the best team in the National League. They're almost the best team in baseball record-wise. I don't know what else. In a small market. I don't know if there's a smaller market in baseball than the Milwaukee Brewers. Maybe Tampa Bay. Oakland. Barely. Yeah, like maybe Oakland, but not by much.
Right.
You're one of the smaller markets in baseball consistently. Guys have you on their no trade clause. Max Scherzer, for example. The Cubs won't trade with you, even though they're selling everybody, and probably could have got a pretty good, prospect and some of the guys that the Brewers may have been willing to part with for a guy like Chris Bryant. So you're at a disadvantage all the time playing in Milwaukee, and you are consistently good. Since Craig Counsell he's the longest tenured manager in the NL. Since he has taken over the Milwaukee Brewers, that whole front office, that whole manager position, that whole locker room, clubhouse, whatever you want to call it, is completely changed, and he never gets the credit. And I don't know why. According to Vegas, he's not even in the top 5. For manager of the year, and I don't understand.
Did you pull that up recently, or was that at the beginning of the season?
That was, I believe, yesterday.
What do you? If you can pull that up real quick, yeah. I'm just really curious to see who the top candidates are, because I know that they probably have Jace Tigler, or no, I'm probably butchering his name. The Padres manager for what they're doing. Although when you have a team with a ton of talent and a ton of all-stars, and then one of the best players in the game, like the Padres do. And I get they had injury issues as well. But
Yeah.
if you think about what Craig Counsell has done with
who he's had.
right. And like we had Billy McKinney playing outfield and first base. We had Travis Shaw, who got injured, but before he wasn't playing that well. And the fact that they are still where they are now, a lot of it has to do with the manager. And I know a lot of Brewer fans, they can get sour on him, and that's just the fan base of every team, right? Like, if things don't go well, you blame the manager, but he is doing such a great job. And there's a reason why he's the longest tenured manager in the National League and one of the longest in all of baseball. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's very many that have been holding their position as long as he has. But yeah, I mean, I would love to know who the 5 options are.
I got you right now. And this was reported. This is through BetMGM, obviously out in Vegas. This was at the end of July. So this was less than 2 weeks ago is what this is, the latest article. Top candidate, Jace Tingler, number 1. Okay, Padres, you're loaded with talent. Okay, sure. Number 2, Dave Roberts. Okay, you have a $300 million payroll. Again, wow. You got Trey Turner as a throw-in for a trade.
Yeah.
Brian Snicker, down in Atlanta. I guess I don't see it, but these last two you're gonna laugh at these last two. Mike Schilt, third place, St. Louis Cardinals, third place. And number 5, Luis Rojas, New York Mets.
Well, I mean, that's if they can get far in the playoffs, I guess
if they can even get to the playoffs. Right now, they're not in the playoffs.
I would say this: Brian Snicker, if he can get his team,
sure.
That's I would say he that name I understand. Dave Roberts, when you have the payroll that
I don't understand,
when you have the team that he has, and I get it, but his team is going to win X amount of games every single season, no matter what he does. You can put any manager in that team, and nothing against him as a manager, but I'm just saying, like, when you have the rotation that they had, when you have the infield, the outfield that they have, multiple MVPs, like, and then you look at what's going on in Milwaukee. I don't know. It's a joke that he's not even on there. Mike Schill, I don't know why the Cardinals. They're not
no idea. I mean, this is at the end of July, so this is. But they probably do it every couple of weeks. So there probably isn't a new one out right now. I don't. The Luis Rojas one is kind of funny to me too, because they've been winning that division the whole year. Now they're not. Now they're close to slipping to third place. The Braves are starting to trend upwards, and the Phillies have kind of turned a little bit of a corner. The first two, you're not going to impress me. Jace, sure. Jace Tingler, it takes a little bit of skill, I guess, to your payrolls and your lineups. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're manager of the year. You're working with half your team are all-stars or former Cy Young winners. Dave Roberts in the same boat. Like, I'm not saying I could go in there and do a better job, but I can guarantee you probably any manager in baseball right now can go in there and do the same job.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think if everything kind of works out the way it's going now, there's a good chance he will be in consideration. I don't know if he'll win. I mean, that's just obviously when you think about big markets and big names and what he's done. Like, I mean, if he was in a bigger market, like, he would be everyone would talk about it. If he got fired, every team would want him to manage their team. That's just how good he is.